Hello all and welcome to this quick demo of the NTT Data Cataloguer. The Data Cataloguer is part of the NTT Data Suite, which is a combination of three accelerators that help you with your cloud migration journey. The Cataloguer analyzes your existing data landscape and builds nuances that are essential for your data migration to the cloud. The Data Cataloguer can analyze the source objects needed for the data migration so you know which objects need to be migrated, and more importantly, which objects do not need to be migrated. It also helps you to preempt any gotchas during the migration by providing an in-depth view of your source system. Today, we'll be looking at an example for migrating your schemas from SQL Server to Snowflake with visualizations and orchestration built in Streamlit. At a very high level, the accelerator can be deployed on a virtual machine in your cloud environment. This can either be a Linux or a Windows machine, and since the accelerator has been written in Python, the installation is pretty straightforward. We support a variety of legacy databases and warehouses as can be seen on the left. There are two parts to the cataloger. The first is an analyzer to look at your existing systems and generate insights helpful in the migration. And the second being the schema migrator that ports the schemas over to the Docket data warehouse. The analyzer output can be downloaded as an Excel for referring later, or it can also be ingested into a BI tool of your choice. The metrics that are captured can be classified at two levels. The summary provides information such as table types, different keys and indexes, categorizations in terms of table sizes, row counts, and column counts, triggers, partitions, and any watermark columns that can be used for CDC, and also the access patterns for the objects in your databases. The detailed view provides information at a column level, like data types, sizes, nullable clauses and defaults, and another important aspect being the collation and encodings in your source system, as that can be different from the target. Now that we know about the capabilities of the tool, let's take a quick look at it. For this demo, we'll be using a SQL Server that's hosted on our AWS RDS with a couple of databases. We'll look at the analyzer first. After entering the credentials, you have an option to download the data and the insights generated by the analyzer. And you can also categorize your data in terms of size, row counts, and column count groupings as you deem fit for your organization. Once the insights are generated, you can look at this from two ways. You can either look at the data or the metadata itself, or you can look at the analysis based on the visualizations that the tool automatically creates. At a summary level, as mentioned earlier, we give you a distribution of all your databases based on the count of tables, a distribution based on table size, row counts, and column counts based on what you entered on the first screen. You also categorize your tables based on the last DDL statement so that you know when was a table last modified from a DDL perspective. And you have drill downs based on period filters. The tables are also distributed based on when they were last accessed, so that you know that in case a table has not been accessed for a while, you may not need to migrate it. We also categorize your tables based on row count, column count, and size. And since this is a test system, the visualization is not up, but in a real world scenario, this is how it's going to look like. So the bigger the bubble here, the bigger the table in terms of row count, table size, and column counts, so that you can prioritize it based on the table sizes if that's the way you're going over your migration over iterations. Additionally, we also track all your triggers, partitions, and indexes. At a detailed level, we look at the distribution of data types so that you know that if there are any troublesome data types which might cause issues in the migration, specifically cases like globs and blobs, you would know the frequency of them in your existing source system and prioritize them accordingly. For CDC, you would also know which are the tables which do not have any primary keys or watermarks so that they can be taken care of with a separate process. The other important aspect for any migration is the character set collation and encodings on your source system. There would be cases where your collation encodings and character sets might not match from what's there in your source compared to what's there in your target. So you would know all of this information upfront so that they can be prioritized accordingly. Now that the visualizations are up and you know which tables to migrate and in which order, the next logical step is to migrate the schemas over. That is the second aspect of the cataloger, which is the schema migrator. The UI is similar to the cataloger, only difference being that in addition to the source, you also have an option to enter the target set credentials. You have an option to migrate the schemas by recreating the structures in case you've already migrated that data or those schemas which are in question. For this, we'll take a look at our Snowflake environment, which does not have the RDS admin database, which we're trying to migrate over from the source side, as can be seen here. This is the same RDS admin database that we just saw previously as part of SQL Server. Once you click on migrate, it's going to test all the connections from the source and the target, and then migrate the schemas over into Snowflake. Once we refresh here, we should see the RDS admin database coming up here, with all the tables which were there in the source system getting migrated over to the destination side. The aspect to keep in mind is that this is just a schema migrator. We have a separate tool for migrating the data. And the intelligence that comes into play with this tool is in terms of data type mappings. You might not always have a one-to-one data type match from your source to the target. So all these data type mappings from the source to target are taken care of by the tool. That's all there is to the cataloger. Thanks a lot, and we look forward to helping you with your cloud migration journey.